Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Tuesday, July 8th, 2025, and on Tuesdays we talk about music and the arts. But before we get started, special birthday shout out to our youngest, the twins, Ariane and Cheyenne, who are turning 29 years young today. Happy birthday, guys. All right, so the theme for the Dr. J Vlog series this week is the nature and meaning of work. And so all of the different vlogs are going to be talking about different aspects or from different perspectives. We'll be talking about work. And so today I thought I would share with you my top 10 personal favorite songs that deal with jobs and work in general. But I've narrowed the focus a little bit because I've excluded intentionally rhythm and blues and country music. These could have there's so many songs that deal with work and jobs, etc., within those particular genres or that are inspired by the themes that we could do our top 10 list in each of those in particular. So instead, well, all I'm going to do today is share with you my top 10 list of songs that deal with jobs and work within kind of classic rock and popular music. And so I've narrowed the focus. And as ever, these are just my sort of personal top 10 favorites based on my life experiences in growing up and how they resonate with me or bring me back to a certain time, etc., etc. So I could appreciate it if these aren't your favorites or they're not in your top 10 list. Feel free to share your own favorites in the comments below. All right, and I'm going to try to play clips of each of these and not get blocked, so we'll see if that works. All right, here we go. First, I'll change up the view here and see if you can identify these just early on with the chords and so forth. I'll play a little bit, see what you can do here. This one you'll. All right, so that's Donna Gaines, better known as Donna Summer. So she was inspired with her manager. They were walking in one night and they were going into a restroom, that sort of thing, and there was a woman there and she was asleep, etc. And she felt this wave of empathy wash over her, and she was, said to her manager, "Wow, look how hard she works. She's exhausted." And so this notion, she works really hard for the money, that inspired her to write this particular song. So again, Donna Summer was kind of known as a bit of a disco queen, if you will, in the late 70s and the early 80s. But this particular song took her in a slightly different direction. And yeah, it's really quite an interesting one. So that's number 10 for me. She works hard for the money. Now, number 9, we'll see if you can get this one just on the first... just based on the, come on, make this work. Based on the first note, shall we say. All right? Before I switch up the view here. Yeah. You know that one? All right. So I'll play it all and I'll switch up the view again. Hopefully it's done properly here.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's the Beatles, of course. Hard Day's Night, 64, their first film, black and white. They made 2, one was colored. Well, they made more than that, but anyway, yeah. So that's classic. The chord, that opening chord, you're immediately drawn in. You know exactly what's coming, and it's quite the rocker, shall we say? And I've always loved that song. All right, so that's the Beatles. You all know that one. Let's go on then to number 8, and this is one you probably don't know. You may or may not know it, but we'll see.
But when I get,
let's see. Here we go. Change it up here. And here we go.
They came from Scandinavia, the land of midnight sun. was free to live the way he chose to live and be who he could be.
Yeah, all right. So that's just a little snippet from Dan Fogelberg. You know, that's my favorite artist, my personal muse, shall we say. And this is a song that he wrote about his parents and both sides immigrating to the United States. And so then he talks about the different generations and the nature of the work that they had to do and how hard they worked off the land and in the factories. And that's why it fits in so nicely with this particular theme. It's quite a sweet song, a gentle song. It's one that I've played a few times live when I do my sets, and I definitely recommend it. So as with this song and with all of them, I'm going to leave the hyperlinks below so that you can check out the songs in full and uninterrupted if you are so inclined. All right. So now let's get on then to number 7. So this is one that many of you will know. It's an older song, and yeah, it's pretty powerful. But again, rather than tell you what it is, let me share with you some of the music first. Any of you know what that is? Some of you will. Famous little mini lick on the guitar there.
A working class hero is something to be. A working class hero is something to be. When they've tortured and scared you for 20 odd years, then they expect you to pick a career.
And when they've tortured and scared you for 20 odd years, then they expect you to pick a career. You can't really function because you're so full of fear. Yeah, that was really, I heard that song. I didn't actually hear it from John Lennon first. I actually heard it from an old diving coach. This is, again, a bit of an obscure song. It wasn't one that was played on the radio, but Greg Rippey, the diving coach that I had way back in the early 70s. And Greg, I can't imagine that you'd ever hear this, but thanks for playing this particular song. So he played it live. He played it on his guitar. And I just sat there as a youngster, and I was mesmerized by the simple picking pattern. But I listened to the words, and it just really, really moved me. I mean, what did I know? I was like 11, 12, 13 years old, whatever it was at the time. But that one really stood out for me personally. So yeah, that's Working Class Hero by John Lennon. Okay, so that's number 7. Number 6 is a completely different sounding type of song. See if this one resonates with you.
And I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition, and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets the traffic starts jumping, with folks like me on the job from 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living. Barely getting by, it's all taking and no giving. They just use your mind, give you credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it.
All right, so yeah, that's Dolly Parton in 9 to 5. Of course, there's a movie, and this is the studio version and the video of the particular song. And I don't know if you know how well you know it. It's just one of those sort of snappy sing-along songs, you know, kind of bopping along down the street on your way to work kind of thing. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's really quite a subversive song. And it's really kind of highly critical of the corporate, you know, overlords, shall we say, taking credit for all the work you do, and you're barely making a wage to get by, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, Dolly's so lovable, and she has such a cheerful way of singing about the misery of the working class, of the plight of the working class, that you know, I don't think the corporate overlords really noticed. They probably sang along with her. So yeah, it's a pretty cool little song. Yeah, so I put that in at number 6, just again for the memories and the movie and Dolly, and you name it. All right. Again, I got to and now we're going to go to we're in my top 5, and these get all pretty serious in terms of the rock and roll side of my youth, shall we say. All right, so the first one, coming in at number 5, I love this unedited version. It's been cleaned up to be more politically correct, but even the words aside, again, this just has one of those sort of classic guitar licks. You immediately recognize it when you hear it.
The way you do it. You play the guitar on the MTV. That ain't working. That's the way you do it. Money for nothing and your chicks for free.
All right, so yeah, that's Money for Nothing from Dire Straits. And so the story goes that Mark Knopfler, the lead guitarist and singer, obviously, of Dire Straits, was in New York City. Actually, he tells the story himself. And he was in, one of these stores selling appliances, that sort of thing. And he just heard the conversations and apparently the microwave salesman and so on. And he quickly got a pen and paper and wrote down some of the quotes that he was hearing or overhearing their conversation. And turned that into a song. What's really cool too is that this is the animation's kind of simplistic, but actually for its time the 3D animation was kind of advanced, and this came out in 1985. But Knopfler and Dire Straits, they didn't want to make music videos, but this is what was all the rage, and MTV was all the rage, and that's when MTV, they had music on MTV, etc. And so they convinced them to create a video, and so they put their heads together and they came up with something that was actually pretty creative, pretty interesting for the time. So yeah, Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, Money for Nothing. That's my number 5 pick. All right, number 4 is again from another one of my sort of favorite artists growing up, a longtime admirer of this individual, and bought so many of his albums over the years. I have quite the catalog, and he has quite the catalog, but then he kind of stopped at about age 40. He stopped making original or new music because he, in his own words, he'd said pretty much everything he really wanted to say with his music. He's been touring and playing ever since, and then actually just came out with a new song last year. But that said, we're going to go back in time, and we're going to go back to, I believe it was 1981, and let's see if you recognize this one here. Just from, again, maybe the opening part of the song.
Well, we're living here in Allentown, and they're closing all the factories down. Out in Bethlehem, they're killing time, filling our forms and standing in line. Well, our fathers fought the Second World War.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, that's Allentown by Billy Joel. So it's really more of a social commentary about life after the Second World War and people getting jobs and then the factories closing down and people losing jobs and so on. So yeah, Billy Joel's dealt with this theme in a couple of his songs over the years. I talked about one of them a few weeks ago when I was talking about songs dealing with the ocean. So if you want to go back and check out another Billy Joel song in that regard, it's called Downeaster Alexa, and that deals with the struggles of being a fisherman off the Cape and so forth, and how the fish have been overfished and the populations are depleted and so on. So how do you make a living as a bayman, so on. So this one, though, deals with the issues around factories and Allentown and so on. So pretty straightforward. There's no real deep hidden meaning behind this, but like I said, it's more of a social commentary than anything else. And it's in Billy Joel's signature style, shall we say. So yeah, that comes in at number 4. All right, and then at number 3, again, I've got to work to do this here because it's kind of complicated, the system I have here, and because I'm working solo and without making any corrections along the way, kind of just have to do this on the fly, but that's okay. All right, so here's number 3. Hopefully this you'll hear this and perhaps recognize the song as well. Okay, so yeah, that's the Police, and that's Synchronicity II. It's part 1 and part 2. So that's Synchronicity II from their classic album of that title, released, I believe, in 1983. And yeah, that's dealing with kind of the alienation of work in the modern era. And he's telling the story, of course, of this one particular family, and focusing then on, again, what the father. The suburban life and what the father's doing, and kind of the alienation and meaninglessness of it all. Well, anyway, you know the story, so I won't go into any. I really love the guitar work on that particular song. So I mean, I love the song just in general, but it just really stands out again because what was cool about the Police too is they were once more trying to create their own kind of unique sound, as it were, and they actually kind of changed slightly over the years too, to become this more popular rock and roll band. Anyway, I had a chance to see Sting the year before last, so that was cool. Not with the Police, but I got to just see him in concert. Of course, he played all of his classics, and really remarkably, he still had his voice. He was able to sing these on all his songs in all the original keys. So that was pretty cool. Most people, Billy Joel included, and Elton John, a lot of these folks, they have to bring the pitches down, sometimes quite significantly, because they can't hit the high notes any longer. But give Sting credit, he was still able to do it. So yeah. Okay, now we get to number 2, and again, I just happen to love this particular song, and this is again kind of from my childhood, so to speak. And let's see if you recognize it before I put it up on the screen here. All right, so that's a hard rocking song from Boston, of course, and it's called Peace of Mind. And again, I didn't really understand it that much when I was a kid. I just loved the tune. I loved the rock and roll beats and so on. And then there was that, you were just entering into the change of tempo there in the middle of the song. But as I listened to it a little more closely as I got older, of course, it's talking about the rat race, and the part that I played, the little clip there, climbing to the top of the corporate ladder. I hope it doesn't take too long, but there'll come a day when it doesn't matter, So I love the song. Brad Delp had this incomparable voice. He was able to hit these incredibly high notes in his chest voice, not going necessarily to falsetto. And that's what made some of the songs so incredible. I don't know how he could get up there so high. But yeah, that from Boston's album there. Their first couple of albums were just so groundbreaking, and it just blew me away. I love a lot of the songs, those early Boston tunes, but that one as well. So whenever that comes on the radio, I gotta sing along with it. Gotta play that one all the way through. Okay, and then we get to number one, and you can probably guess what my number one choice is. If you're thinking about songs about work, if you're thinking about a rocker that deals with the theme of work, there's one that stands out as probably for some of you as well, the number one work song about work, shall we say. And it's from a Canadian band, if you don't know already. So yeah, Taking Care of Business by Bachman-Turner, Overdrive, 1973, I believe. And yeah, it's just the kind of classic rock and roll tune, Taking Care of Business. I just, not only is it got that really cool heavy rock progression, but if you listen to that opening chorus, or the opening verse, it's just unbelievable. Like lyrically, it just draws you in right away, and it's such a succinct and powerful statement about the nature of work. Right? You get up every morning from the alarm clock's warning, take the 8:15 into the city. Right? People pushing, people shoving, the girls in trailer, all that stuff, and then they say, and if you ever get annoyed, look at me. I'm self-employed. I love to work at nothing all day. And again, that I've been taking care of business. So working at nothing, of course, playing the music, similar to the theme for Money for Nothing. Go back a few songs, right, with Dire Straits. Look at them yo-yos. They're just playing the guitar and getting money for doing nothing, basically. So again, the rock and rollers, the musicians have always known that society writ large doesn't necessarily hold them in the highest regard, or at least they don't necessarily always appreciate what goes into the work. What we should all appreciate, though, is that if you listen to the top artist, and there's probably a million others that you won't ever hear because it's so hard to stand out in a crowd. But there are so many amazing musicians, and they've had to work incredibly long and hard hours to get to the peak that they've been able to achieve. That's why, by the way, I was so reluctant to release my first album, because I hadn't put in those same kind of hours. I'm not a full-time musician, so I had to fake it a little bit. I had to work really hard just to get up to the level to play the songs that I was able to play, to say nothing of these more advanced musicians, and then you get to the elite of the elite, the creme de la creme, on their various instruments in terms of their voices, and it just, they stand head and shoulders above the rest of us. So yeah, but that song is not a particularly hard song to play, obviously. It's just one of those classic 3-chord rock songs, but it's just part of the zeitgeist, and it still resonates a half century later. It's still relevant in many respects. All right, so that's my top 10 list. Again, feel free to leave comments below. share some other songs that you'd like to highlight. And yeah, let's just have some fun. All right. In the meantime, as ever, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives, nurture love in your hearts, and dole out hugs in abundance. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.